Now, Alexandria Ocasio Cortez is a strong progressive, and she won on an unapologetically strong progressive platform. That includes things like abolishing ICE, Medicare for all, free college, $15 minimum wage, and many, many more other things, right? So now she's basically going to Congress. She defeated Joe Crowley, number 4 Democrat in the House, in a contentious primary where she came up out of nowhere to knock this guy off. It's fantastic. An amazing, amazing victory. And she is very much expected to win her general election and cruise into the House. So what do Democrats in the House think about this? Well, there's actually a bit of a mixed reaction here. Now, for one, according to one Democratic source, the entire spectrum of House Democrats, party leadership, campaign leadership, are all trying to assess what she wants to do and how she is ready to play ball, or how ready she is to play ball. Well, look, if you're dealing with Alexandria Ocasio Cortez, I'm pretty sure that one of her plans is not playing ball. Nonetheless, of course, since we're dealing with politicians, a lot of them are thinking, how does her coming to Washington change my plan or help my plan? Of course. Now, according to this article, Democrats are largely thrilled to welcome the telegenic rising star to their ranks, although she is already ruffling some feathers. Now, how is she doing that? Well, she's doing that by being strong and progressive. Now, there's nothing that establishment Democrats hate more than somebody who is unapologetic in their beliefs, which explains the problems some of them are having with Alexandria Ocasio Cortez. Now, some of them are saying, now, wait a minute, this seems to be effective. Maybe I'll jump in. So we'll get to that. Now, the article mentions that Ocasio Cortez will plan to hit the campaign trail for at least 3 other Democratic candidates in primary races this year who are backed by Justice Democrats, a pact that supports progressives. That includes Missouri congressional candidate Cori Bush, former teacher, registered nurse, and pastor who is vying to unseat longtime Democratic Representative Lacey Clay. Now, on that, there are some Democrats in the House that are like, "Ooh, no, don't go after, don't primary these Democrats. No, we can't do that." In fact, Gregory Meeks, Democrat from New York, said, quote, "We're trying to take back the House, but it seems like they're just trying to go after Democrats. It makes no sense. I would hope that the new member coming in would keep the eye on the prize." Well, what is the prize? Well, the prize is winning against a Republican. Now, before Ocasio Cortez's district is massively Democratic. That's why she's expected to breeze through her general election without a problem. So, but these centrist Democrats, well, they make the argument that, well, look, in these other places, New York, they're too white, they're too weird. Somebody like her would never win in the Midwest. They don't have a fair chance in hell of winning an election. No, you've got to go to the right and appeal to conservatives or people in the center. We'll have to see if that is effective in the Midwest. I don't think so. But here's the thing, right? Gregory, genius. The whole point is to run. The whole point is to take back the House, right? And in order to take back the House, you need to have strong candidates. If you have a strong candidate, you're more likely to win elections. How do you get a strong candidate? You do it by running primaries, which primaries happen to have Democrats versus Democrats. The whole reason that it says, oh, they're just going after Democrats is because we're running primaries. Once the primaries are over, then you go after the Republicans and you crush them. That's the whole point. That's the whole point of primaries. Okay, anyway. Representative Tim Ryan, who was also warned that the Democrats focused on identity politics risk alienating blue-collar working-class voters in the heartland, like his, said Ocasio-Cortez's victory is no indication that the party on the whole is shifting to the left. Now, before I get to his quote here, I want to mention that Oh, identity politics. They're alienating blue-collar working-class voters. Who do you think those blue-collar working-class voters are? Yes, there are white people. White people are blue-collar. But guess what? There are also black people and Latinos who are working-class blue-collar workers in the heartland. It's not just white people. So that goes back to the myth of the white working class. The working class is everybody who works for a living that is below a certain amount of income per year, that work in the jobs like factories. It's not just white people that do those jobs. It's a lot of other people as well. So that whole thing, you're going to offend the white working class. Not true. But anyway, now he said, quote, "We saw Connor Lamb win too. So my big pitch is that you've got to let people run in their district and let them determine what the issues are and what the priorities are in that congressional district. That's the essence of being a member of Congress, and so everybody's got to make their own judgment on that." Hey, look, we had this centrist Democrat win. So look, it happened to be in the Midwest. So Pennsylvania, he won a special election. Well, that's because the other guy was a monster. In fact, let me go to another one, Doug Jones. Doug Jones won in Alabama, but he was running against a pedophile. What does it say about your party that you barely win against people that are monsters and pedophiles? I'm just saying. Whereas Ocasio Cortez won her primary by double digits. She crushed in the primary, and she's going to crush in the general. But anyway, look, here's the thing. The reason why she won is not because it was, weird or white or the Bronx was especially progressive, right? She actually got the turnout. And the reason that she got turnout is that she ran on issues that were incredibly important. Now, those issues, Medicare for all polls at 60%, living wage, free college, protecting seniors, all poll massively well with the American people. And look, she even brought abolishing ICE into the mainstream. That was something that was actually a very risky political move, but now has been embraced. Like, you know what? You're right. We should abolish ICE because all they do is basically separate families at the border at this point. They're the brown shirts of the Trump administration. We already have Border Patrol. Why do we need ICE? We don't. That's the answer to that. Now, basically the point is if you're a politician and you want to win, you actually run on popular issues. Now, there are people out there, more naysayers. For example, Nancy Pelosi, Dianne Feinstein, they say that socialism is not ascendant in the party. Again, I mentioned Tammy Duckworth, right? She said that socialism won't win in the Midwest. Well, Ocasio-Cortez's version of democratic socialism actually does win in the Midwest. Traditionally, those were some of the most heaviest union districts. Those are the places that actually brought you things like the weekend and higher minimum and the minimum wage and other places and other policies. That happened in these places. So, excuse me if I say that Tammy Duckworth is dead wrong when she thinks the Midwest, states that voted overwhelmingly for Bernie Sanders, for example, during the primary, Michigan was a huge, huge upset. There is a market here for those ideas. There are people that want them. So we just have to have politicians that run on them. And by the way, Alexandria Ocasio Cortez is also campaigning on behalf of Abdul al-Sayed. Now, he is running for the governor of my home state of Michigan. So he's running. He is an excellent progressive. I've spoke to him personally. I've talked to him before. I've listened to him speak. He is a true progressive and a champion, and would be a champion for the people here in Michigan. So she is. There's another progressive or so-called progressive running in the race as well, and your normal establishment figure, and of course Ocasio Cortez. She knows who the real progressives are, and so That's why she's campaigning on behalf of El Said. So, anyway, that's some of the naysayers, right? But she's actually got some allies in the House as well. For example, Jerry Connolly. Now, he predicted that Democrats will welcome Ocasio Cortez. He noted that her surprise win is likely to earn her major respect inside the conference. Quote, "You can like and appreciate Joe," meaning Crowley, "and wish him well and hope he'll succeed without necessarily resenting somebody who successfully challenged him and clearly represents the face of the district. I think that will command respect in the caucus." Imagine that. A politician that doesn't take corporate money, that runs in these bold progressive issues, getting respect in the House. That's amazing. Now, Connolly, I'm sorry, that's the wrong thing. Let's see. There was another politician, a Democrat, Connolly, who warned that being a freshman, however, in a body of 435 lawmakers is a humbling experience. So there's a little bit of contempt here from this from Connolly. He said, "One that will both require some time for Ocasio-Cortez to gain her footing and have a tempering effect on her sway over the direction of the party. Once she is elected, but once you join the freshman class, you've got to deal with the reality of adjusting to the institution, getting oriented, learning how things are done, or how you can be successful and forging alliances, not with just people who share your ideological perspective, but others as well." So, look, that quote here is actually from somebody who's like, well, we welcome her and everything, but she's gonna have to learn how it really works. So even when they try to compliment her, they're also being sort of condescending, which is interesting. Look, she'll have to learn how it really works. No, she's actually coming to change how it works, Mr. Connolly. And look, she may only be a freshman. That's not going to shut her up. In fact, that's probably going to make her louder. Now, here's another Democrat, Peter Welch. He said that Democrats should take a lesson from Crowley. "If we're smart, we'll welcome her with open arms." Lawmakers, aware of the clout that she may yield, have already yet been reaching out to ask which caucuses she wants to join. It's back to the article. Whether she has leadership ambitions and what some of her broad ideas and goals might be, according to a Democratic source. Some members are even jockeying for an opportunity to work with the rising star as she contemplates her path in Congress. Now, Ro Khanna is another Justice Democrat. He was helped out by Crowley. Crowley helped him get elected. So he was like, look, man, I want to endorse Crowley. And then he got a lot of blowback from progressives. So it's like, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to endorse both of them, which is basically a non-endorsement. So nonetheless, he's saying, look, members of Congress aren't fighting over her, but they're very, very excited about the prospect of her joining a caucus and want the opportunity to work with her. And he also mentioned that I've already had many of my colleagues asking to reach out to her. So here you have leadership, right? So there's difference between the leadership and the rank and file. So rank and file Democrats, they're actually like, well, hey, look, she's obviously doing really well for herself. She's one of the most well-known members of the House. She's got a huge social media following. She's been on Colbert. She's been all over the media circuit. She has more clout than, I think, almost any member of the House, especially for a freshman House member. So they're like, hey, you know what we can do? We're going to ride those coattails, and we're going to ride them hard. I'm excited to work with her. I'm excited to see where she's going to go. I hope she joins my caucus and all that stuff, right? So that's some Democrats. And then you have Democratic leadership and some of the centrist old guard that are like, oh, she needs to learn her place. That's what she needs to do. Don't worry, it'll take her time to acclimate and to see how stuff's really done. And she's a freshman, so freshmen, they should shut their mouths. That's sort of the difference that what they have. But this division does kind of show you how much the Democrats have been rattled to their core with the loss of Crowley. And of course, some are actually looking at maybe now, since they're emboldened, to be a bit more progressive. It's not a bad thing. That's actually a good thing. You know why? It's because, look, it shows how our message is starting to win. We are starting to win. So as long as we keep running bold progressives, I think there's a good chance we'll keep winning. And I think this win, at the end of the day, is going to give her it's going to give progressives huge momentum and might be considered a tipping point for the movement. I'm not entirely sure, but I certainly hope so. And of course, the establishment doesn't. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.